Hello and welcome back to the Building HVAC Science podcast. What's our goal here? To create better, more knowledgeable HVAC and building performance technicians by helping these two professions better understand each other with the ultimate goal of making customers happy in the homes they live in and the buildings they work in. I also host the Res Talk podcast where you can learn more about the rapidly expanding world of home energy ratings and peripheral topics. That's RESTALK. That's a production of resnet.us, resnet.us. Well, we're talking again about homes and controls and sensors. In this episode, Eric and I interviewed Dan Goodman, who's the co-founder of Building 36. It's a company specializing in connected home services. Dan covers with us the capabilities of Building 36 connected thermostat and home monitoring system, and really quite a well built out system, highlighting the ability to control and monitor various aspects of the home, such as heating, cooling, lighting, even water, and security. The system provides extensive benefits to homeowners and contractors by offering peace of mind through these comprehensive monitoring and easy installation features. I got the impression it's the easiest and the best, and customers can control, and the customers are in there looking at their data a lot. So this is very interesting, the way it draws customers in. And the other great thing for contractors is this is only sold through contractors. So you can't buy these. Consumers can't buy these. This is a contractor-only product. Okay, let's listen to this interview where Eric and I talk with Dan Goodman about smart homes and smarter trades.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Building HVAC Science podcast. Eric Kaiser here, Bill Spohn virtually next to me, and our guest today, Mr. Dan Goodman from Building 36. Welcome, Dan.
Hey, thanks for having me. Great to be here.
Glad you reached out, Dan. It seems like you got an interesting product/service going. But first, I want to know why you call it Building 36.
This is a little nerdy, but when we started the company, we had about 5 or 6 ideas we were taking out there. And we joked way back in the day, I like to say I'm a recovering engineer. So I studied electrical engineering and computer science at MIT. And Building 36 there's the core cluster of where we had all our classes. So we joked that these were technologies for Building 36. And then we went and had to start the company. It was like, Building 36 Technologies, here we go. We're starting it. So that's where the name came from.
Nice. Get into your background. Let us know how you got to this point of working with this company.
I'm kind of like the Forrest Gump of the connected thermostat. Out of school, I started working on semiconductors. So I was traveling around the country, or more specifically, the upper central part of the country, helping people design products with gears and sprockets and putting processors in there. And then all of a sudden they said, hey, now that I got a processor, I want data. What can I do with this? And so it quickly led to saying, hey, you need wireless communication. So I joined another startup that was making these Zigbee chips to make things communicate wirelessly. And the first big win I got was a smart meter. And I was out there saying, oh my gosh, we're going to have hundreds of millions of smart meters out in homes. What do people want to talk to? And it was the thermostat. So I co-founded a thermostat company with another guy that had shelf space at Home Depot. So we had all these thermostats out at retail, and we were selling to all the security companies out there, trying to get thermostats integrated into their systems, whether it was smart energy or security. And then I like to joke, I woke up one night in a cold sweat because I was selling thermostats to a cable company. I said, is there a company on earth less appropriate to touch your thermostat than your cable company? It's like, hey, I got no AC. Sure, we'll be there in 3 to 4 weeks. So I had that come to maker moment and said, I need to address my ways. So I said, we're going to start Building 36 with the intention of taking everything we know about connected devices and connected services, but where one, it's a service. You got to charge for the service or you end up underwater. You can't just go out and do maintenance for free forever or repairs for free forever. That doesn't make it a business. So one is that it's got to be a service because there's significant cost to maintaining these things once they're out there. But two is that this is for the professional trades. I sold so many thermostats at retail and people called up and said, hey, my thermostat's broken. But it wasn't the thermostat, it was the heat or the air conditioning that was broken. And the DIY person who can put in a thermostat is not equipped to fix those problems. So I said, we got to make this for the professional trades because frankly, 60% of the time, they're the ones making the choice on what thermostat goes in anyway. So really, that was the focus around Building 36 and how do we make these connected home services for specifically the professional trades.
You got this connected thermostat now or connected interface with the home. I'm assuming an app probably as well.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. What all does this do? What does it connect to and what benefits does it bring to the homeowner and to the professionals putting it in?
you can kind of look at it from a few different standpoints. So you start with the consumer. Not only is it a thermostat, you can expand this to control everything in your house. So I can tell you my front door is closed, the doors are locked. I can have my lights come on at sunset. I can monitor critical systems in my house. Like I know we have an ejector pump in our basement. If I ever lose power or if there's water in the well and the sump isn't running, I can get notifications on that. On my thermostats, I can tell you, hey, the house is calling for heat. The house isn't heating up, or I'm calling for cool and the house isn't cooling down. So it's this complete peace of mind. Video cameras, doorbell cameras. I can even tell you that my car is sitting in the parking lot here with a half a tank of gas. So literally everything you could ever need to know about the biggest investment in your life, which is your house, in one single app. But it's brought to you by professional contractors. And so the big advantage for the contractor is, one, it's all cellular based. Forget about going in Nana's house and trying to figure out her Wi-Fi password. You just turn it on, it's connected, so it's simple. And all these devices, we start with a basic kit. You don't need to go like my house where I like to say I have about 84 connected devices and one very patient wife. We test a lot of the equipment at my house. But every homeowner isn't going to be, when I use this term endearingly, a nerd like me that's going to love all this stuff. But it's like the basics are great. I love a connected thermostat. We start out with a basic kit as a connected thermostat, a water sensor, and a smart plug. And the idea is the thermostat's going to monitor your heating and cooling. The water sensor is meant to protect your water heater. So if I start to spring a leak, I'll get a notification instantly. But more importantly, all this data and all these alerts come back to you as the contractor. And the biggest thing is that now the contractor can tie this to their maintenance plan. So now you have a smarter maintenance plan. So if I'm sitting here, I sell a maintenance plan, you know the maintenance life cycle where I'm in the house, I'm doing a repair, the customer, I say, hey, do you want a maintenance plan? And it's going to be cheaper to get the discount on today's service to sign up for the maintenance plan than not. So I sign up for the maintenance plan, and then 12 months from now, it's time to renew. And I say, I'll sign up again when something's broken. Now you can tie the smarter maintenance plan. You tie the smart home to the maintenance plan. So now when it comes month 13, it's time to renew again. The customer is asking the question of, oh, should I renew this or not? And say, well, I'm sorry, you're going to lose access to this great system and monitoring that we offer to you. And what happens is the customer says, well, I better sign up for that maintenance plan again. So we're showing retention going where good shops will have 50, 60% retention on that maintenance program. We're showing over 90% retention on maintenance programs year over year when you tie in the smart home as part of the maintenance program.
How long you been at this?
Building 36 has been around for 12 years now. And we actually got acquired by a company called alarm.com. So we're making a whole bunch of hardware for the security world, and then we're offering services to the HVAC world. And we're in over 10 million properties at this point. And interestingly, we have over 1 million homes with thermostats in them. And one of the big programs that we're rolling out now is actually pairing security providers with HVAC partners. So if you had a security system from Brinks, for example, they're using our platform to provide those connected services into the home. We're doing some markets with them right now where, hey, you're getting an alert from that house. Instead of just getting a notification like, hey, you got an alert, your thermostat's broken or thermostat's not working as expected. Now we can tie that to the HVAC partner locally, that the HVAC partner can reach out and say, hey, your thermostat threw us an alert, just like the fire department's going to show up if the smoke detector goes off. Now we've got monitored HVAC as part of the security world. So we're coming at this from a number of different angles to drive this. But the good news is that this is all at scale at this point in millions of homes and used. It's crazy. Our average user is logging into the app 1.5 times a day. So think about that brand recognition and that constant reminder of the value of the service that your HVAC provider is giving you when customers literally looking at it every single day.
Do you attract end users or do you attract the trades people?
We're going to attract the tradespeople. The idea is that this just comes with your system. So if I'm at the kitchen table trying to sell my furnace or air conditioner versus the guy down the street, well, does yours come with a connected solution? Does it come with monitoring? Are you buying this from a trunk slammer, or are you getting this from a reputable shop that wants to stand behind you for the rest of their life? And that's the difference in the value that we can help provide. So from everything from the moment of sale to the moment of the next sale 10 years down the road when it's time to replace that equipment.
What's the uptake of contractors who successfully sell it with the system versus, say, those that sell it as an upgrade or an add-on?
So the way we rolled it out to market initially was sell it with new systems. And that's been a very, I won't say frictionless, but it's as easy as path as you can get it. And what we're doing is we're actually pivoting into the service call right now. And that's been a function of time. To offer cellular when we first started, you needed a separate box to provide the cellular connection into the house. And then that would talk wirelessly to the thermostat and all the other devices. What we've got coming out here next month is actually finally a cellular thermostat. So now all these devices can talk directly to the thermostat. You no longer need this cellular box. So it's a huge cost savings. And it's also a huge just ease of installation burden solved, where you no longer have to think about what's a smart home hub. It's gone. We've just vanished. Now it's just put in a thermostat like you always do. All these devices come right out of the box. You just either pull the battery tab or plug it in. They're automatically connected and off you go.
So I got some nerd questions here.
I was just going to say, you're talking a couple of measurement nerds. You've opened up
the nerd can here. We've got a lot of HVAC contractors that listen to this. And as a former HVAC technician myself, you're talking a language here that I understand on connecting to that thermostat. So my first question is, if it's a cellular connection, is there a way that that contractor is going to need to check to make sure the connection is going to be stable in that location before they put this on the wall and potentially have a problem? Is there a way to do that, or is that a concern? And if there is no cellular there, is there another way they can connect to it?
So the answer to all of that is yes. We have a site survey tool. The other thing about our cellular versus your phone, like you think about making a phone call, you want to have 2-3 bars on your phone to make sure that you're going to have enough signal to actually get a call through. With our stuff, the data rate are so low that you literally need a half a bar. So if this thing can even get a chirp of life, it'll connect. And if you look at where people live broadly across the country, I mean, if people live there, their cellular coverage, our stuff needs just the barest of minimum to get there. So cellular connectivity hasn't been a huge concern, but we also have a belt and suspenders. We have Wi-Fi in there as well. So you can connect them both. You can use both cellular primary, Wi-Fi backup, or vice versa. You've got another way to connect if for whatever reason you're somewhere where there's no cellular service.
Well, that's good to know. And you said there's a site survey tool. I'm assuming that's built into the app or something like that you can, let's check this out.
Exactly. We have a whole installer app too, if you ran into that situation. But again, we've got over 10 million properties with this. We've been working on this over time to make sure wherever you are, this is going to be able to get installed.
Okay. So my next question is, and this is going to go down that HVAC nerd road, what outputs do we have from this control? Is it just simply like a single stage output control? Can it do 2-stage? Does it do heat pumps? What all can we get out of this? How about humidification, dehumidification, things like that?
So I just got a shiver. I got so excited we get to talk thermostats like this. It's up to 3 heat, 2 cool, dual fuel systems, dual power supply systems, heat pumps. It can control humidifier, dehumidifier, external air baffle. So we've got it set up. There's 2 dynamic terminals. We call them Z1 and Z2. And so you could set those up to be a vent or in a humidifier or humidifier, dehumidifier, whatever the situation is, you can set those up dynamically. The other huge thing that it does is we have a technology called display sync. If you do not have enough wires in the wall, you can actually separate the display and the thermostat. You mount the thermostat at the equipment, run whatever wires you need to there locally, and then you can just take 2 wires in the wall and run power. And we have this power plate accessory that you can put the display on the power plate. So even if you don't have enough wires, you're going from a boiler to a new heat pump or a dual fuel system, and you don't have enough wires in the wall. Now you don't even have to run new wires. You can just put the thermostat at the equipment and the display on the wall.
Very nice. I love that. There's a couple other manufacturers doing that out there, and I really love that because, man, sticking all those wires up inside the wall, trying to get them hooked in behind the thermostat, making it look neat, air sealing that hole behind the thermostat is such a pain. I, from a personal aspect of being a technician, love that feature right there.
Game changer, because I live here, I'm in New England, and I've got a boiler and separate air conditioners. And of course, the reason why I bought the house, it had 7 thermostats. I got so excited. I was like, 7 thermostats and a basketball hoop, I'm sold. But it's all the boilers running all 2-wire systems. And then, of course, I made this fancy color touchscreen thermostat. I want to put it in there. And it's like the thought of running wires, like this is a no-go. But so now I just have it by my zone control box down in the basement. I just wired up all the thermostats and then just use those 2 wires for power in the wall and mount all the displays on the wall.
That's fantastic. I love that.
How does a contractor get involved or become, is it a dealer, would you call it?
Yeah, we call them a dealer or a contractor, but just come to our website, go to building36.com. So building36.com. And then there's a become a partner button right there. You click on that, you give us your name, email address, and we'll reach out and help you get started. It's easy. It's funny. When we first started, it was like, okay, we had to train your technicians. We had to train your CSRs. We had to train your finance people. We had to go through all these processes. And slowly and surely, we've been just pulling all these things in. I mean, even to the point now when we get alerts off the system, instead of us having to train CSRs, we have a triage team that gets every alert and we break it down and say, CSR, this is exactly what you need to say to the customer to go book a job. It's really trying to make this, we know how busy HVAC companies are. We know how much labor shortages are killing them. let's make a solution that becomes super easy for them that helps them hang on to their customers. You think about the Google tax, right, on every one of these jobs that you're facing. I mean, it used to be everybody would complain about Uncle Sam and the IRS coming in and reaching their profits. And now it's Uncle Google, right, coming after the pay-per-click. I mean, we've heard the organic search and how they're distributing leads now. It's like people are talking about 20, 30, 40% increase in the price of getting customers to find them. Imagine instead of a customer going to Google to search for their own company that they already have a relationship with, they just go to their app to book an appointment. It's as easy as that.
Very interesting. I'm on your website right now. I'm looking at the products. You've got a lot of air and water products on there. There's some pretty interesting stuff. There's one that I'm really interested in here, and that's this dry contact sensor with a 24-volt adapter. Talk to me about what that can do and what some of the possibilities are with that and how that works. That one's a unique thing to me.
That one's a lifesaver in so many ways. The headaches that's avoided. So basically the idea is it's a normally open, normally closed, essentially alarm monitor. So any product that has an alarm on it, it lets you monitor whether it's normally open, normally closed, or 24 volt, no 24 volt. So the primary application is your float switch and a condensate pan. If I get the float switch trips, I can now get an alert through our cellular connection to say, hey, you got a problem. But not only can you get that alert, it's smart enough to say, hey, I'm going to tell the air conditioner to turn off so we stop making more water in this condensate pan.
Not only is that maybe that float switch mechanically interrupting the power to the air conditioner, you're also going to get an alert on your thermostat, and it's going to log that in there, and it's going to say, hey, this isn't something going on. Contractor's going to get an alert. Homeowner's probably going to get an alert at that point in time. Everybody's going to know about it.
Exactly. And another really powerful application for that is tying to, like, I know I've got an ejector pump in the house. It's got a Pro Series pump controller on it. So there's an alarm circuit on that. So I actually monitor that circuit, that little alarm circuit with this same sensor. So I get a notification. The pump was plugged into a GFCI breaker. And anytime that GFCI breaker would trip, that ejector pump stopped working. So we have a bathroom down in the basement. Somebody's in the shower. That can get real nasty real quick if that pump stops working. So to get those alerts, I know it saved us a few times to be able to get that. But boilers have lockout circuits that they'll have that normally open, normally closed. We can monitor those, or if it's 24 volts, not 24 volts. So there's a choose your own adventure with that one. But that's an amazing sensor, super easy to install and peel and stick. You just pull the battery tab and you're good for that battery lasts 7-8 years.
Wow. What about things like monitoring things like a bath fan on or off or something like that? Do you have a way to do that or to control bath fans through this or things like that through for humidity and stuff like that as well?
We've got all sorts of just generic power switches. So you can turn lights on and off. You can turn anything with an on and off switch. We can do up to 220 volt, 40 amp switches. We can even monitor the power on them. So I can look at my phone and say, hey, yesterday we used $9.37 worth of power. We tie back to your local utility so we know what the rates are, but we can monitor at the circuit level, the appliance level, and the whole home level for how much energy you're doing and be able to control those. And then, of course, the thermostat itself can control a humidifier or a dehumidifier, so we can monitor temperature and humidity. We have a little temperature sensor that's about an inch long and a half an inch deep that you can throw anywhere to tie that with the thermostat. You can monitor temperature and humidity with that, but you can also run the thermostat off that. So if you've got a thermostat in not a great location, or you think about the old New England Colonial where you've got the thermostat downstairs and everybody goes to bed upstairs at night, you can actually say, hey, I want to run off the temp sensor at night, but run off the thermostat during the day to make sure you're more comfortable in your house.
Cool.
The Smart Thermostat HD says it connects with other connected devices. What's the criteria for that, or what type of devices, for example?
The protocol that we use is called Z-Wave, and that's, if you look at the security world, literally every security panel sold in North America comes with a Z-Wave radio in it. So it's just a low power wireless radio that all these devices talk. But if you look at like Kwikset or Schlage or Yale locks or Jasco or Eaton light switches, all of these devices connect in through that. So there's locks, lights, shade controllers. And then we can also integrate, whether it's directly or indirectly, call it a cloud-to-cloud connection. We can talk to Lutron lights, LiftMaster garage doors. So chances are, if it's a connected device out there, we work with it. And even some of the premium proprietary thermostats, so like Lennox iComfort, we can pull those into the system. Carrier Infinity, we can also talk to those thermostats as well.
The carbon monoxide sensor, is that a like UL 2034 listed?
Yeah, so it's UL certified. But that one, we've got some amazing testimonials. I don't like marketing this or talking about it, but we've got a woman that literally the alarm saved her life. And it wasn't the alarm going off. She was literally suffering from carbon monoxide poisoning. She said, I didn't feel well. I was nauseous. I had headaches. So like I went to bed And thankfully, our HVAC partner down in San Antonio got the alert and said, your carbon monoxide sensor is going off. Tried to call her. She didn't answer it because she didn't recognize the caller ID. So they called her son. Thankfully, they had a secondary phone number, and the son was able to go over there and get her out of the house. It saved her life. And for an HVAC company to be able to provide that level of service and get those notifications, to be able to notify your loved one that, hey, you can do full monitored carbon monoxide. And then, of course, if you partner on the security side, we can do monitored smoke as well and get that back to the fire department. So we do offer the full range of protected services.
You'd mentioned before, I think you said like 10 million properties. Does that mean include rentals or commercial facilities? Can you expound on that?
Commercial, I would say light commercial is one of our bigger areas of growth. So you think about the strip mall or the quick serve restaurant, there's a lot of applications where our equipment goes into places like that. I'd say predominantly residential. I don't have the breakdown exactly, but it's kind of started everything in residential, and we're growing into that light commercial space. I mean, we're not going to go into skyscrapers or we have these big building automation systems. That's not really where we touch, but anything using 24-volt controls, I'd say the sweet spot's probably like that 50,000 square foot and down building.
Do you have like a particular favorite package that contractors tend to install?
Yeah, I mean, we start with what we call the Air Essentials kit, it's a thermostat, which monitors the heat and cool. And then it's a water sensor, which is meant to protect the water heater. And then a smart plug, which it's funny. The smart plug is just this super engaging thing where you never come into a dark house again. You just put it on the lamp in the foyer. And secretly for us, it acts as a repeater in the system. So it helps get the signals around. So that's why it's good to put it centrally in the house. But what's funny, it's one of these things where it's like, I know I've got this lamp in my foyer that turns on at sunset, and whether it's 4:00 in the winter in Boston or 9:00 this time of year. So it always comes on at the right time. And then I have it turn off at 11. But nobody's tripping up the stairs or nobody's forgetting to leave the lights on, which is a common problem in my house. So the lights just turn off. So that's the basic kit. And it's not much more expensive than what they'd be paying for a connected thermostat. It's a great place to start. It's very simple. A technician who's busy, has been crawling around in an attic all day, isn't going to sit there and say, oh man, now I have to do this hours of installation. It takes about 10 to 15 minutes to put this in.
This only is available through your company. In other words, it's not available at any big box store?
Nope. We will not sell it retail. We don't sell it retail. I've got the scars. We learned our lesson.
Can you talk about what's in it for the contractor and what price tag in general or range they're looking at for the consumer or the customer, the end customer?
The idea of pricing this is that you build it into whatever it is you're selling, and it really doesn't have much of an impact. But you're looking at, for a wholesale cost, you're well under $500 for our basic kit. It's super inexpensive. The way you'd sell it, again, is that you're selling a $15,000, $20,000 air conditioner. Whatever you're selling your thermostat there for today, you just pop out that thermostat and put our stuff in. And it should be this cost neutral. But when you start looking at it and you start looking at the lifetime value of that customer, now I'm going to get an extra. How much is your maintenance plan? $20, $25, $30 a month? So if you say I'm charging $30 a month, that's $360 a year. If you can now get this customer out to 9, 10 years, you're looking at another $3,000. And then on top of that, you get to sell them the next system. So the cash is there. It's a no-brainer. By keeping them on the maintenance plan, this stuff all pays for itself.
You had mentioned earlier that you had worked out so many bugs to make it the easiest and the best for contractors, for the trade professional. Do they need any coaching or scenarios to understand how to sell it?
It's almost like the how to sell it is to don't sell it at all. It just comes with whatever you're doing. Like, this is the job we're doing. No. We stand behind our product so much that we're going to give you this great app and we're going to monitor it for you too. You almost take the sales out of the equation. The biggest thing that we see is that you got to have this moment where you say, listen, I'm building the service fees. I mean, because we obviously have to charge for this. Our service fees include that Verizon connection. I mean, you think about it, you want to go add a phone line, you're going to pay $30, $40 a month. We're including that in our service fee, but you're looking under $7 a month to our contractors, and then they can go and bundle that in. So they've got to account for that in their maintenance plans. And that's the biggest coaching that we have to do, to say, listen, have one maintenance plan. Don't try to sell a smart one versus a dumb one, because as soon as you put optionality out there, everybody gets confused. And I don't want to sell the thing I'm not comfortable with yet, or I don't know about it. It's just make one maintenance plan price. This is included in it. And then you sort of eliminate that optionality, and it just becomes, here are my natural touch points where you get this. I'm doing this big repair. It just comes with, you're going to get this kit for free, but you've built the price of the hardware in there.
Got it.
So does the fees for the monthly go down if they're not using the cellular? If they're using, say, the Wi-Fi in the house or something like that, does that monthly fee change at all?
No. And it goes the other way too, that if they decide to add 30 or 40 devices to it, we don't charge more. We're not saying, oh, you're using 4 of these instead of, or you're going from 4 to now 10 or 20. We don't charge you more per month. You get unlimited access. And really, the cellular fee is just one of the features that we offer, but the real cost is the services that we maintain our service. While we don't market this as UL certified, it is running the exact same thing as what the security guys do. So this is a mission critical life safety system. It runs 24/7, 365. We do not take it down for maintenance. It can't, because we're monitoring fire alarms and smoke detectors and security alarms. So we don't take this down. We spend over $250 million a year on R&D to make sure that this thing is secure. And that's what you're paying for in that monthly fee. That it's not something that like some guy just hacks into and all of a sudden it's like, oh yeah, he's sharing your video, your house, right, on the open internet. It's no, this stuff is locked down in a way that you couldn't achieve if we weren't at the scale that we're at. So I think that's a big part of that. People are worried about security. They're worried about privacy. And that's literally our parent company is alarm.com. Security is at the core of everything we've built.
Turn the conversation away from that to more like the business end. A little birdie told me you have a strong point of view about the trend of private equity, buying up HVAC shops and driving up marketing and homeowner acquisition costs. That's a spicy topic. What do you got to say?
Oh boy, so now you're asking me on the record. Normally this is a conversation after a beer, but I guess
he just readjusted his seats, folks. He must be a little sweaty there.
It just got hot in here. I'm gonna check my thermostat. You know how it goes. If you look at a private equity company, like the typical life cycle, I want to come in here, I want to own this business for 5 years, I want to cut costs and increase the top line revenue and flip it. We've seen some of those things happen where you go off to an individual market where somebody's just looking at how do I get top line to grow? I don't care about bottom line. I'm going to pay whatever it takes on those AdWords to get to the top of the list. And we've heard of stories of people paying $1,000 a click for a broken air conditioner in Arizona or a plumber in Arizona. There's a lot of money out there that can be detrimental to your sales if you're trying to compete against that. If you're driving that customer acquisition cost so high, it's hard to maintain your own profitability while you're trying to sell to those customers.
Interesting.
And we're offering the solution where it's, listen, cut that off at the knees. The customer doesn't go to Google when they have an app that they use every single day to book appointments. And there's a big difference between just giving them an app, which they don't have a reason to download in the first place. If you told me hey, your air conditioner's broke, go download an app to book an appointment, it's like, I'm never going to do that. But if I have this app that every single day I'm using to interact, I'm adjusting my thermostats, I'm turning my lights on and off, I'm making sure the kids got home from school, and all of a sudden I get an alert on it and I realize, yeah, it's hot in here, and it says schedule appointment, I press that button. We can just head that right off by giving you a better channel to get to your customer.
More than top of mind, you're top of palm.
Yeah, exactly.
Very cool. Another thing we're going to try to explore a little bit was the design and manufacture your thermostats and how you do that, the production processes.
They're all designed right here in Needham, Massachusetts. So we've got a ragtag team of engineers. I won't say they're ragtag. These guys are elite, led by Craig Heffernan, who's our CTO and my former basketball teammate at MIT. Not only is he a great engineer, he's huge. He's 6'7". So you just don't mess with the guy. But he and I have been working together designing thermostats for, we're getting close to 15 years, made millions of thermostats out there. So we've got an amazing team of engineers out here that do everything from electrical to all the embedded software and even mechanical. We've got 3D printers and all this amazing stuff here. So we produce all the design, all the software here. And then we've got manufacturing partners that put it all together. And right now we're doing that in Bulgaria, of all places. We've taken everything. We were in China for a long time, but we've gotten out of China. Now we're in Bulgaria, it's been great, a great partner. We've always had we'd love to figure out how to do this in the US, but costs have just driven these things up so high that it's been to the point of hard to be competitive. But we found a good middle ground, I think, in doing this in Europe and making good cost-effective products. But again, all that core engineering is done here in the US. And anybody who's in Needham wants to come by and see how the magic happens, we'd love to have you.
How close are you to Westford?
We are not far. That's about 45 minutes away. You going to the summer camp?
Yep, both of us are.
All right.
We'll be there.
All right. So yeah, you'll have to come down and swing by and say hi on your way coming in or out. But yeah, we're only 45 minutes down the road.
So you've heard of Building Science Summer Camp?
Yeah, I went there last year. It was great.
Oh, really?
Wow.
Listen, I told you when I said I'm a recovering engineer, I meant it. I love this stuff.
Yeah, it is very, very cool.
Especially the forensic stuff, that first day last year where they really were diving into the forensics of building science and looking at how do I figure this out? And just looking at diagnosis of the process, they were talking about radon in a building. And I remember just thinking about all the air quality and fresh air turns. And I'm thinking about how do we apply some of that to what we have, where I know IAQ sensing is going to be a huge wave coming, but it's what is the solution? Because I can't show you there's a problem if I don't have the mitigation solution ready to go. We've got all sorts of prototypes of air quality stuff that from VOC. I personally think CO2 is going to be the one that hopefully drives a lot of this, being able to detect CO2 and bring in fresh air. We've got those pieces in place. I'm ready to go with them and being able to deploy them with the cellular technology so that you're not overwhelming a technician trying to deploy this stuff. I think is going to be a home run for us in the future.
We captured the website. We've got the Become a Partner link on there for contractors who are listening. We'll put that, be sure to put links in the show notes. To wrap up our conversation here, what's the future look like? You started to allude to that with IQ just a second ago, but is there anything else on the horizon you could give us?
I think water protection is honestly the thing that's so close to tipping over the edge. And we actually have a pretty amazing water protection solution where we've got a flow meter with inline shutoff valve that goes right on the main in your house, that if we detect an abnormal flow of water, we can automatically turn the water off. Those historically have been a little cost prohibitive, but we're seeing more and more insurance companies, we're getting close to those being mandated. So I think for all the plumbers out there or all your HVAC shops that are multidiscipline, this is a phenomenal opportunity to get out ahead of things and start making this. Like, why just sell a water heater when you can sell a smart water heater?
Eric, any closing questions or thoughts from you?
I'm just sitting over here geeking out on this. I think this sounds like a really cool system.
You made him quiet. That's dangerous.
The wheels are rolling in the back of my brain right now.
I think we're going to probably be in touch privately and individually because I've got some thoughts.
We'll get you set up for your houses. Don't worry.
Fantastic. What a pleasurable call. And I'll just be honest, I've never heard of Building 36 until your people reached out. And that's really cool. It's been around for a while. How did I miss this? That's the only question I have right now.
To be fair, I think we've been waiting for the right moment. It's taken us a little while to figure out this silver bullet of how we become the fourth pillar of home protection. We think about you've got security, fire, video, and now it's critical system monitoring. And now it's taken a while to A, get the services right, and B, really dial in on the product and the cost effectiveness and ease of installation. And it's like we're finally hitting that moment where it's time to go. So trying to get the name out there.
Thanks for coming on the podcast. I really appreciate it. And I really hope some of our listeners do get in touch with you because I think there's really something interesting to explore here.
Great. Well, thank you so much.
I agree 100%. I think this is a little bit of a game changer in the marketplace today. And I really love the features on the thermostat itself and everything that it can do. I'm right now really interested to dig into even deeper into the operation of this and say, can it do downstaging and how does it control and what are all some of the algorithms in it? But that's my nerd brain going on in the back here.
So to be continued. Thank you, Dan.
Sounds great. Thanks so much for having me. It was great to meet you guys.
Okay, same. We appreciate you listening to this podcast where we covered smart homes and smarter trades with Dan Goodman. Hopefully, if it piques your interest, you get in touch with Dan. We had a really great time on the interview, as you could tell. Really a lot of engaging topics, really thoughtful, smart person with a really developed product, really well-developed product line. If you have any questions or wish to suggest a topic or reach out to us, you can contact us at marketing@truetechtools.com, TrueTechTools.com. Some of the topics we discussed require technical training for proper interpretation or safe execution. So if you're trained pro, you can go right ahead. But if you're not, please consult with and hire a trained pro. The Building HVAC Science podcast is a production of True Tech Tools Limited. In full disclosure, I'm a co-owner of True Tech. The opinions voiced are those of my guests, my co-host, or myself, depending on who is speaking, of course. And if you're in the market for tools or test instruments mentioned in our podcast or have a general need, take a look at what we carry at TrueTechTools.com, TrueTechTools.com. You can also use the secret offer code HVACBS for a nice discount. I want to thank you for listening to and following the Building HVAC Science podcast. And if you're not subscribed, please consider doing so. We have a lot of other great trade-related resources and influencers out there, including Service Business Mastery, Quality HVAC, HVAC Overtime, HVACR Videos, HomeDiagnosis.tv, AC Service Tech, Measure Quick, HVAC, HVA Chicks, I always pronounce that wrong, The Misfits of HVAC, HVACR School, HVAC Shop Talk, Stephen Reardon, the HVAC Reefer Guy, and Tool Pros. Again, thank you for listening to this podcast, and we hope we infuse some thoughts into your brain at this point. Take care. Until next time.